Good afternoon. All righty. I am really loud, and I'm not sure a microphone is a great idea for someone like me. So if it's too loud, just put up your hands, stop, and I will. Thank you for coming. It's 4 o'clock on the first day. I get it. I really get it. Before we begin, let's introduce ourselves. First, Dr. Trammell, would you go ahead?
Me? Okay, hi. I am Dr. Rebecca Trammell. I'm throwing the doctor in front of my name because I just got my PhD in computing. I just got my PhD in computing technology in education. And I mean, really, just graduated on June 5th. Yay. And I am also a professor of law. I'm a tenured professor at Stetson University College of Law. I am also, so I do teach doctrinal courses, most recently cyber law, feminist jurisprudence, fun stuff. And I also teach advanced legal research. I'm the law library director and co-director of distance education. So I love technology.
I really should have gone first. This is awful. I'm Dr. Sara Laughlin. I got my PhD about a year ago, so it's before. That's all I've got. No. Fascinating enough, I am not in law. I am a K-20 instructional coach. I am licensed in Colorado to teach. I am a gifted and talented specialist, and I recently implemented blended learning, so that's one-on-one computer technology to students learning in elementary settings. So we are making sure that our elementary school students are tech savvy before they ever get to you. So interesting enough, my PhD is actually in curriculum and instruction. So the blend here kind of works beautifully. Before we get going, really quick question. Would you raise your hand if you are in IT? Thank you. You're wonderful. Would you raise your hand if you're in law, library? That, yep, we're going to make that big, yep, because that's huge. And then if you teach. Wonderful. Thank you. Teach anything. You can teach anything you want. Yeah. little bit. Now, before we get going, we are talking about, well, I have an elementary background and we've got a law background, so we're doing a huge gamut here of instruction for people. Before we get going, excuse me, we will be talking a lot about engagement strategies that you can take and use for whatever purpose that you need. How many of you right now just want to get on your laptop and get some work done or check your email while you're listening to the presentation because you've got a lot going on? Yeah, how many of you are going to get, I don't know, about 15 minutes or so, you're going to be going, okay, that's awesome. I figured out what I'm going to get and what I'm not going to get. And so I'm just going to check. I've got some really great cat videos to watch. And so I'm going to do that. We know now how many of our students do the very same thing, even though we expect something completely different out of them. It's our job up here to make sure you don't check your cat video. Not our job to say it's your job not to check your cat video. So we're kind of doing a little paradigm shift here with our instruction. Go right ahead. Engaged student is a learning student. That's it. We pulled some stats up here. We're not going to read off slides, but this is from the National Survey of Student Engagement in 2013. An engaged student is more than just a learner. They start caring about their campus more. They work with their professors, instructors, facilitators more. You get more out of an engaged student versus a lecture hall student. There's a big difference.
A huge difference, as we all know. ABA standards. I've been in a couple of sessions today where we've talked about ABA standards, pulled a couple up here that you want to remember. ABA requires technology. They're focusing on technology. And the objectives of the program of legal education, and that it's a rigorous program, that we assess it, and there all these, and there are other ABA standards out there. You guys know that. You know why? Because we haven't been doing it. Seriously, how have we been assessing our legal education programs? How many of our students pass the bar? That's been the assessment that we've been doing. And look, I tell it like I think it is. I have a great time at my school because I am a tenured member of the faculty and I can say what I think. Yeah,
And she does.
Yeah, I do.
She does.
I do, that's me. And one of the things that I know for a fact is that since the 1880s, there has, I love history, okay, just do. Since the 1880s, there has been a debate in legal education. When the ABA was founded, that's the practice debate versus the education debate. Seriously, and it's still going on. Except that with the, shall we say, downturn in the economy and the impact on law firms and our graduates, the ABA was forced to make some changes. And those changes are these standards. And I'm also going to tell you like it is. The ABA is still trying to figure out how to implement these. They don't know. Trust me. I just came back from a site visit. And you guys, most of you know what that is, and if you don't, congratulations. But I'm serious. They're trying to figure this out, and they're trying to figure this out because the ABA is delegated by the Department of Education to accredit law schools. And the Department of Education is getting all kinds of complaints that our students can't practice law, our graduates are not hitting the ground running. And they're getting all kinds of complaints on that. Of course they are. And so they're turning around and telling the ABA, you better get your act together. And that's what they've done to us with these standards. And that's part of what we're doing here. It's trying to figure it out too.
Mm-hmm. So if we're required to use technology and we're also looking at a rigorous program, how can we incorporate those together to make a more successful student, a better learner, a better engaged learner? So this is your lecture style. This is taken from a law classroom. It's the use of technology. We've got baby videos here. There's family pictures here. In the front row there are my favorite cat videos. I love those. That's lecture style. We all know what it looks like. We all went to school with it. That's the real challenge. This is the education we're familiar with. It's what we got. So it's what we're giving.
And it's comfortable.
It is.
It makes us feel okay. I can tell you that we were doing some kind of filming of one of our faculty in this sort of classroom from the back of the room, and they had to cancel it because of what they saw on the computer screens that the students had up. It was not pretty.
Now these are adults who pay for their education. They're in law school for a reason. They've made a decision. Now imagine children. They didn't make a decision to be in a 3rd, 4th, 5th grade classroom. They're definitely forced. They may not want to be there, and they certainly don't care about the Civil War, right? So the content is being thrown at them. So now imagine that. When we're talking about engagement, if you can engage a kindergartner, you can engage anybody. So switching from a style like this to a style like this, where students are independently learning, they're self-directed, they're using technology, not relying on technology. So Google doesn't have all the answers when you ask the right questions. But there's still books, there's papers, we all know you need all sorts of information to make a decision. And so this is what engagement is starting to look like. I know it's hard when you have a lecture hall full of people. So that engagement just looks a little different. In a classroom, we still have 30 to 40 children in a room. It's ridiculous, but we do. And we have to engage all of them on all these levels. So we're going to share some things with you that hopefully you'll be able to take with you and will help you. We're going to play this in just a second. We are digital immigrants. Technology is new to us. Imagine, I have to make a grocery list. I write it on a piece of paper. My daughter puts it in her phone. We're digital immigrants. The students that you have coming into your law school classroom right now are digital natives. They don't know what a busy signal on a phone is. They have never known a world without space travel. They are digital natives. We're the immigrants. We're trying to catch up. And we're afraid they're going to get ahead of us. Well, it's too late, they are. It's okay, though. But realize how much farther ahead they are. And hopefully everything works. If it doesn't, forgive us. It is technology. They don't even know what chalkboards are. And I love the Wikipedia part in there. That's my favorite when lawyers go, oh. Let's be real. If I don't know something about something, I'm going to check Wiki really quick first to figure out what I don't know. I'm not going to cite Wiki in my paper. I certainly didn't cite it in my dissertation for my PhD, but I definitely checked out some stuff just so I could get nibs of information. Well, that's what our students are doing. They're going everywhere and anywhere to find out what they need to know. And then they'll accurately cite it from a reliable source in their paper. But this is the world we're living in. This is what they need.
It is, and I'm going to add to that.
Please
I
do.
tell my students, yes, go to Wikipedia. See what it says. It's going to give you maybe a couple of search terms. Maybe it's going to give you an overview. Then go down and look at the references. But they're going to go there anyway. So why don't I tell them to do it and use it right?
And teach them how.
Exactly.
Now, when we're talking lecture style and we're talking engagement, we're at about 15 minutes right now. I mentioned the 15 minutes before we started for a reason. Classes usually last 50 to 90 minutes. This session is an hour. We are expected to talk for 50 minutes. When I heard that, I freaked out. I don't talk in any class for 50 minutes. I don't like my own voice that much. Are you kidding? Nobody does. Note-taking of students, it declines during a lecture. Obviously, you go in with gusto and 15 minutes later, come on, you're tired. Why? Because the first 3 to 5 minutes you settled in. You all did it, you get comfortable, you talk with a neighbor, you're good. After about the first 3 to 5 minutes, you're good to go, and you only have 10 to 18 minutes left. That's it, that's all we got. So we put that video about digital natives at the beginning, because if you don't remember anything else, remember this. You're encroaching on their territory, not the other way around. So, 10 to 18 minutes. How does this align with our current legal education? If you've only got that kid for 18 minutes and you've got a full 90-minute lecture session and you're upset that they're on cat videos, we understand why. We get it. So, we got to do some stuff about it. But let me show you what our current note-taking looks like first.
Can you see what that is?
They're all taking pictures with their phones and iPads. And that's what we do. I remember being at a conference about a year ago, and we had the schedule, and they said, oh, the copy machine broke, which made me laugh. The copy, oh, well, darn, no more copies. We have to cancel the conference. The copy machine broke, and we only have one schedule of the day. Well, what did we all do? We took out our phones and went, okay, don't make copies. That's ridiculous. We had the schedule for the whole day. That's what we do. So this is why note-taking declines. We don't have to take notes like that anymore. So let's use what we have available to us with our students. This is exactly what students will hear from you at about this point in a lecture, no matter what your topic is. This is what they see and hear.
Today I want to talk about the current in a scenario where there is alternating current, and for that we can discuss this formula.
How many of you had this instructor in college?
Since you know कि जब
Doesn't have to be
alternating
math.
EMF है जो कि
Is that even
कंडक्टर
English?
जब मैग्नेटिक फील्ड के थ्रू जाती है तो फिर ऑल्टरनेटिंग ईएमएफ होता है. अब उस केस में
You're the one.
फेज शिफ्ट के बारे में बात की थी, अभी इसको रहने देते हैं. उससे
This is what they start to hear. It's the Peanuts comic. Wah, wah, wah.
सुधीर अपना क्वेश्चन
They're going to look up your notes later.
Yeah, of course they are.
I know, right? Of course they're going to look up our notes later. So we want to talk best practices, and we want to use technology. If they've got it out already, let's embrace it, and let's direct them on how to use it, instead of just hoping that it gets used well. Okay? We want to reduce that Socratic dialogue a little bit. We want to give them immediate feedback. If you know you're doing really well, will you keep doing it? Sure. If you know you're doing something wrong right away, will you stop, adjust, and fix? Yes. That's what we want our law students to do. Well, that's what we want them to do in law later. So we can enhance our instruction with technology.
And remember that our law students are adult learners. I have sat through a debate with my faculty where they were trying to decide if they were going to let our adult learners actually make up their minds if they could work more than 20 hours a week going to law school. But no, we need to protect them and to make them understand that we know better how you spend your time than you do.
Putting the presentation together was really great.
Oh my God!
Good. So we want to reduce our lecture time. And we want to know what the reality is of this. Go ahead.
Oops.
Oh,
sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Why don't we come back to the video on this? This is using technology differently. There's actually it's called SAMR, S-A-M-R, and it's a rubric for instructors for using the technology. There's a video after this. If we have time, we'll show it at the end. We want to make sure that you get some other information as well.
Yeah.
But basically substitution. Instead of a paper and a pencil, you use a Google Doc. That's just substitution. We do that all the time. Augmentation, this tech acts as a direct substitute tool, but with functional improvement. So now I'm in a Google Doc that my whole group, 5 of us, can now share, and we're working on together. So we're augmenting that versus having to pass around that paper. We all remember having to do that and write together at the library. Then we've got modification. It goes above a line. Modification, that is significant task redesign. Now we're using the technology in a different way. So maybe I'm creating a video regarding, and this is something that I actually work on with my 5th graders, Dred Scott versus Sanford. I talked about Civil War. We actually do some legal debates in 5th grade. And so they have to create videos on their position on this catalyst of the Civil War moment. And redefinition, totally revamp how you're using technology. So then they put that debate out into the world and invite more debate, more discussion, and higher thinking. So they're really changing the way they're using the technology. So that's kind of a basic transformation of using technology.
I have a question. How many of you have heard of SAMR before? Anybody?
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's great.
I gotta tell you, and as you've already heard, doing this together has been a challenge. I'd never heard of it before, and I find it incredibly exciting. So, moving on.
Yeah, and go past the next one and we'll do that video at the end because it's a little longer. So immediate feedback. Here's some stuff you can use and it's free. I work K through 12, K through 20. I'm all about free. I pay for nothing. Nothing, not even my drink at Chipotle. Teachers get those free. ExitTicket.org. While you're sitting here, if you want to go on ExitTicket.org, you can sign up for free. What it is basically something you can use as an exit ticket for your students as they leave your room that day. What was the essential question? What was the big idea that you want to make sure they get? ExitTicket.org allows them to transmit that answer or that information to you electronically on their way out. That way you have data to decide what your next class will look like or what maybe you need to supplement or give to them. It's super easy, and honestly, all this stuff is super cheesy. Like, it's so simple to use. ExitTicket.org, so it drives your instruction.
Absolutely, it's fabulous. And I learned it from her, because seriously.
You can use it in any setting, for anything.
Yeah, and I like it, because I would like to know if they got what I was trying to say in that class when they walk out the door. Or if I'm online, I use it digitally online. I want to know, so I know what maybe I need to cover next week or whatever. So I love it. Oh,
Yep.
Keep going.
The next one is polleverywhere.com. This is a really great one. You can sign up for this for free right now too if you want it. Polleverywhere.com is awesome. I don't want to tell you about it. Go to the next screen and we'll just play the video. And it's basically for both of these. Yeah, this one has to go straight to the internet because we're slightly challenged. the internet that always works.
All the time,
Would you, yeah, go down a little.
except
And then
when
there
it
you go.
doesn't.
Oh,
Right?
yep, can you put them in the screen?
I would try. I tried.
Worth a shot.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on. Come on, play.
Play.
So you're giving a presentation.
Oops.
And that's why a lot of us don't use technology in our presentations. What if it goes wrong?
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
gee,
It'll stress you out.
Nobody's ever experienced that,
Right.
ever.
And
Love
when
you.
it gets to
Kids experience it all the time. They're mad when their cat video doesn't play.
Yeah.
feedback from your audience.
Oh,
Okay.
leave this poor guy alone.
Yeah, I know.
So
I should, what?
Go back to the presentation. And if you pause this, he can,
How many of you have signed up for office hours?
I'm trying.
you're okay. I know. I don't like this guy either.
It's called Trammell.
Get out, dude. Next. There we go. All right, we'll move on. That video is available for you to watch at any time.
Yes, and it'll be online.
For self-directedness, this is actually using landmark cases of the Supreme Court. These are web quests. You can create them. This is the site and the instructions. So for student self-directedness, you are still telling them which sites you want them to go to. You're still facilitating that information you want to make sure that they get, but they're doing that in a self-directed way. Then they become self-motivated and they're engaged. So creating web quests or inquiry-oriented experiences are awesome for keeping student engagement. These are a couple quick thoughts on technology
Shall we try
that we
it?
had in there. Yeah,
We'll see.
sure.
Keep your fingers crossed, you never know. It could work, and then again, it might not, and we'll
Could
keep
be
moving.
awful.
Hey, what can I tell you?
Go down, yeah. Our guys, yep, in the big black
Come on.
secret in there. Won't come out.
Yeah, I know. We had a lot of fun doing this because I continually learn ideas from Sara, who teaches 5th grade, that I can use in the law school instruction continually.
No, you're fine.
What was,
I'm
okay,
gonna sneak. He's not.
I know.
An angry
He's-
person.
He's an angry
Oh, and
person.
somebody's in the bathroom.
used to
This
think-
is my favorite. In elementary school, this is my
Nothing worse than
favorite.
stinking up the shared toilet at work. All the
I love that stuff.
And you thought there
Here
was
we go.
no
And
humor
this
in
is
legal
teaching kids
education.
Here you
integrating
go.
technology. Put technology tools in the hands of the students and ask them, what would you do with this? They might come up with ideas you'd never have thought of. Focus on what you want technology to do in your classroom. A tool without a task has no context. Use the 4 C's to guide your ideas. Create. Give the students an assignment where they need to shoot a video that tells a story. Consume. Give them an opportunity to combine digital photographs and music in ways that they hadn't considered. Collaborate. Make sure they work together in teams so that the project has meaning beyond the individual. And communicate. Ask them to find ways to go beyond the 4 walls of the classroom, perhaps using Skype to talk to an expert in a subject that they're interested in. Students need to create, to share, to publish, and communicate. So think about activities that will give them that opportunity, and you won't go wrong.
We think a lot that our students in higher ed don't need those things, but that's exactly when they do need them. They have the opportunity and the ability to seek out what they don't know and know that they don't know it. And so giving them opportunities to learn that way helps them be more engaged in the topic that you want them engaged in. Any questions, any thoughts, and any feedback, be nice, but still feedback. We really, really appreciate. We wanted this to end a little bit earlier, and we'll show the SAMR video in just a minute for you, we think. But we wanted it to be a little shorter knowing it was at the end of the day.
I agree with everything you guys say. 20 minutes into anything, nobody's listening. I'm not listening. I mean,
Right?
it's true. So, but I'm listening and I did take notes. How is this different than flipping a classroom? And the trend seems to be going away from flipping the classroom. So, anyway.
Education's a wonderful pendulum, isn't it?
It is.
Hey, this is great. Why did we ever do that? I think we should do it again.
Yeah.
Right. Flipping the classroom is wonderful for certain teachers for certain needs. It's like any other tool. Some teachers will excel using it and some teachers will fail because it's not their style. Flipping the classroom is where you're sending home the bulk of the instruction for them to immerse themselves in outside the classroom, and then they take what they've gotten from that and apply it while you're there. I think it works ideal in certain situations. You will always have students who don't do the work and who come unprepared, and you have to be ready for that. So what do we do with those students who didn't look up those cases and who didn't get that information, and now they've got to work with a team?
Big
Right.
fat F.
Hmm?
I said big fat F.
Big fan. It is still higher ed.
And the problem with a lot of legal education, and I do see, especially from things I'm hearing in this conference, that we're all trying different things. And boy, that pendulum is just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
That's
But
tough.
what happens for a lot of our doctrinal law classes is we give these, we have case books. I hate case books. I will not use a case book. But we have case books, and we assign, 350 pages for a night's reading or whatever. And then they come to class, but do they apply it? Do they do anything with it? In many cases, they listen to us talk about what they just read. Or, God forgive, we say, and hey, Carolyn, what did you get out of that case? What were the facts of the case? And then you get this great dialogue going with Carolyn because she really read it. And the rest of the class are looking at cat videos.
Or they're still sleeping.
That happens too.
okay.
It does. It does. And that I really, okay, here's the other thing. With law school, God save us. Yeah, seriously, God save us. Because we teach the way we were taught. And we were taught generally poorly. Okay? We were. If there's one thing I learned with that PhD experience, it was that when you're going through that process, you're learning to teach. I also had the good fortune in my undergrad to minor in education, so I learned a little bit about learning theory and so forth. And that's your area. So I ask her sometimes to remind me of things that I forgot.
She remembers a lot. Any other questions or thoughts or feedback? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not really sure if this is a comment or a question, but my problem that I have is that, yes, they are digital natives now.
Yes.
But at least at my school, our students have absolutely no intellectual curiosity about any tool that we give them.
Isn't that funny? Because
So I have to like spoon feed them Westlaw and Lexis and all these other things because they're not willing to look around and see that, oh, I can folder these cases I'm looking at. Oh, I can add favorites.
well, and we've got a transition here of a good decade or so that we need to recognize, we need to filter through. It just is what it is. So we've got about a decade of students who are coming through that we didn't teach how to do those things or seek them out because we had a traditional classroom environment where we were spoon feeding. So we're giving, and then all of a sudden we're like, all right, we have technology now. You're gonna love it and go find stuff all by yourself, you're great. But they can't, we never taught them how. So we do have this transitional period here where you'll see that phase through for about a decade. And you'll see pockets of students, just like every other classroom, the couple that come from the home where they taught that and the parents were really good about asking a lot of questions. When you go to the grocery store and you see, and I've seen this twice now, I saw one child in a cart and the parent was pushing them in the grocery cart and the little child was on their iPhone playing their game, which makes me want to poke my eye out a little bit. That's okay. And the mom is grocery shopping. Oh, we need groceries, not even talking to the child. Then there's the other parent who's pushing the child in the grocery cart. No iPad, no little phone. And she says, we need 10 yogurt, or we need yogurt, and they're 10 for $10. How much does that make them a piece? Well, which child is going to find out things themselves, and which are you going to spoon feed? We need to teach that.
I'm going to add, because I completely agree with you on the intellectual curiosity thing, and so I try to find strategies to overcome it. And one of the things that I do when I teach advanced legal research is I require my students to get Westlaw certification, Lexis certification, and Bloomberg Law certification. Yes, they're learning the high-priced tools that they probably won't be able to use in practice, but at least they're learning something, and they put it on their CV. So what the heck?
Well, and then they can find something comparable, or they at least know the standard that they're looking for. They know what they're researching then. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So is the suggestion to lecture for 15 minutes and then have them do something for like a little problem for 15 minutes and then like rinse and repeat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and it's never going to be that 15-minute. There's no, magic. But if you are lecturing or giving that instruction of whatever that big idea, that essential question, and then you throw it out there, now in your row, you all come up with the best way to deliver that to a client, to figure out how to research that, to where would you go for this. They come up with that, then they're learning together, and they're learning from more than just one. Absolutely. So you want that application piece put in to that instruction model. How that looks, again, it could be 15 minutes and then 30, it could be 30 minutes and 15, it could be split up throughout your session.
I'm lucky enough when I teach, my cyber law and FemJur at night at Stetson, and I'm lucky enough to have a lot of group study rooms, so I reserve enough group study rooms for groups of 4. They come to class, we do a little bit of a discussion on whatever the topic is, and then I give them group projects to go work on and come back to discuss in the class. Sometimes it's, I love your Civil War case. Sometimes it's fact pattern and you're the defendant and you're the plaintiff. Come back ready to talk. And I give a couple of ideas. It's that kind of thing. Because I'm trying, when I teach, whatever I'm teaching, I'm trying to make it practical. I'm trying to show them, yes, this will apply to what you do in the practice of law. It will.
And we're all very busy. We have a lot, and we have a lot of students. We all recognize our limitations. We do a March Madness with our American Revolution historical figures, where we pin them against each other. Like March Madness for basketball, I'm a big sports person. So we literally do March Madness. I pick out the historical figures, and then I pin them up against each other. You do the same thing for law cases. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, and they go on to, for us, it was who made the greatest impact in history. Not in the American Revolution, but in history. In 5th grade. Yeah, I demand a lot. But now think about what we're teaching them to go find things. So they're looking at it from all different angles. And I'll tell you, George Washington didn't win.
Yeah.
He didn't win. He didn't have enough. I'm sorry. They were going for some underdogs.
Tell them who won.
Paul Revere. They love the underdog. He printed the money. Hey, that's a big deal for kids. And he was a blacksmith, and he didn't have to be all those great things during that time. But then we also went on to discuss bigger issues. That moment in history where, we've all read books like Outliers and Flow and things like that, where that moment in history where life is just set up for someone to be great. Then we go on to talk about that. What about the moment in history when Dred Scott versus Sanford? Would that decision be different today? Absolutely. But look at the moment in history and why. So there you're getting a lot more into it then.
Yeah, you had a question?
I'm sorry.
The digital immigrants and natives, it sounds, it's kind of passe.
Oh, everybody loves titles. Yep, go ahead.
It's pretty simplistic.
It is.
Age at the start, right? Our brains are not rewired by using technology. It sounded good for a while. If you do like that kind of stuff, there's some educators from the UK who have a different approach called visitors and residents. It doesn't mean that I'm good or kids are good at all technology. So I'm good at web design and programming. I'm really not, I don't do much video games. So it's a little bit more holistic view.
Absolutely.
If you like that. It's,
Absolutely.
It's just, it's a little bit, it sounds great.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right. And that point of view is a good one to reference because you're talking about area of specialty. And the digital immigrant and native is really talking about your upbringing, the life you lived. My grandmother, who just shortly died, went to school on a horse. Like, her world is different than my world. And that's all that is kind of relating. But yours is a wonderful pinpoint on specialties. And that's an important piece. Very, thank you for sharing that.
And also,
that's good.
For work in large classes, there's an anthropology professor at Kansas State, Mike Wesch, who does this brilliant work on teaching large lecture classes that are not lecture. He has these brilliant, he teaches classes of 200 and 300 people that break every convention of what you think as large lecture model.
Is it, for everybody if they wanted to take notes, is it, spell his last name?
W-E-S-H.
Okay, Mike Wesch?
Yeah, he did a video about almost 8 years ago called The Machine is Using Us.
Okay.
Kind of, he was a YouTube star in education, but he does some really brilliant work. And so this, he starts off with a picture of the laptops in the classroom and how to change that.
Right, beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
And I do like your point about the digital native and the digital immigrant. And I get it because it's been around forever and
I'll put it
quite
up
a while.
here just to make sure people
But
thank you.
I'll tell you why I like it. Because I know without question that I'm a digital immigrant and that sometimes, I don't care that I got the PhD in computer technology and education, it feels uncomfortable to me in many cases, in many instances, and just knowing that I am a digital immigrant, and I can cut myself some slack. And I can try new stuff and not feel so, oh my God, I've got to have this perfect every time.
From an instructor point of view, that's a great point because we do what feels comfortable. That makes sense.
I won't let you get away with that.
That makes sense.
It's self-defeating, and we all know exceptions. And I've taught students who come in who would be your natives, and they suck at the technology.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, but they can look up that cat video.
It's not true. Cat video.
I know.
I think it's.
No, thank you.
It's easy to grab onto, and I think it's also limiting.
Yes.
It can
thank
be,
you.
but it actually made me feel better. Yes. Yes.
Well, Dr. Unrelated, you made an excellent point, which is that you can be born and grow up and live with cell phones, but you have to be able to use technology.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying, transitional period. So I was glad to hear you say that because it kind of repeated me.
Right. And we didn't teach them. In fact, Facebook got ahead of us. Look at our kids. For a good decade, they went out there and they were idiots. They posted things they never should have been posting. They were doing things that were off. They got ahead of us. We didn't have time to teach them properly because we didn't even know what it was. So it's just timing of things.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, it's the new one. Don't get me started. Especially in elementary school. I don't want to talk about what they do.
That generation is going to have another generation behind them.
I know. Sorry.
Question. Comment, actually, jumping off of what has been said, and our students really sucking at technology.
I don't know how this went there. I'm sorry.
No. I think one thing that we forget as educators and also as IT professionals is that they may have grown up with technology. They don't necessarily know how to use it. And I think that's why, when law professors are terrified of losing their jobs to tech, absolutely not. It's just another tool that they need to learn how to navigate. Like, sure, they're on Facebook, they're posting photos, they're doing this, and then they hit twin, and suddenly they don't know how to click on a link and watch a video. It's like, what happened to you? But it's just because the interface has changed, or the colors changed, or even Westlaw.
Oh my God.
Upgrade.
Oh my
no
God.
one wants to use it.
Who hates an upgrade, right?
Oh, geez. And they changed the look of
figured it
the
out.
page, and I can't find where it used to be. Yes.
It's a great comment.
It's nice that we have this going here as a piggyback kind of situation, because going off of what she just said, the survey that you took at the beginning of how many of us are teachers and how many of us are academic technologists.
Yes.
I'm the latter, and it's been told to me that it's not my place to teach teachers how to teach or tell them what to do. So how does this message get back to them, first of all? That's part one. And part two, how did you reach out to your technologists to help you make this happen?
Wow, those are great questions. Education is a very slow-moving ship. It is a slow-turning ship. And it feels like it takes decades to make the slightest bit of improvement sometimes, doesn't it? The first question, how is...
Those tools that people are taking advantage of also.
You know how it really starts... Well, first of all, to get it out to people is as many venues as we can like this. And then it really is grassroots. It's those teachers who seek these things out, who know they need to make a change. They want to be a better, bigger, better, faster, stronger educator and inspire versus deliver. And so those teachers are working on it. Then they share with other teachers. And when the student is ready, the master will appear. And so when one teacher wants to know more, they suddenly are able to seek out the teachers who are finding it. Unfortunately, because it sounds like a lot like law, because there aren't, not everybody can agree on everything, it'll all look different for a long time.
But you've got a great point, because a lot of teachers, if you would tell us some tools that exist, and that's part of what I get at Cali, is I go to the sessions to find out what other people are doing and what exists out there, and I ask her, fortunately I usually get an answer, because I need to know what's new. I can't keep up with everything, no matter how hard I try.
Right.
And so I'm looking for somebody like you to say, hey, did you know that X, Y, and Z are out there? And then I usually can figure out how to use them, or maybe you can tell me somebody that is using them. There's a lot of ways that you can help us.
A teacher tries something, in a K through 12 environment, a teacher tries something twice. If it doesn't work after 2 times, they stop. So if you ask a fellow educator, they're only going to tell you what worked. And you can be sure it worked. And the rest of the stuff, if you have time, interest, and ability, then take the time to search out more. But a teacher's going to tell you right away what worked. And again, that's a great point.
And
we can't get it out there fast. We can't.
Well, and you're
make
right.
Education turn as quickly as we'd like.
Big ships turn slowly, but you're also right about the teacher, because I can do things that other teachers would be uncomfortable doing. And then they can do things that I would go, oh my God, you're not going to make me do that, are you? And I think...
All teachers are like that,
yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
Was there
other thoughts?
Thank you so much for the information and the comments and the piggyback. That's wonderful, wonderful discussion. Anybody else?
One other thing.
Just real quick.
Yeah, this is my daughter.
This is my mother. And we did have a lot of fun putting this together.
Oh my God.
Think of the dynamics.
Oh yeah.
No, it was very good. Thank you all. We wanted to get you out of here earlier so that you could enjoy the beautiful weather and the gorgeous campus. I got my master's here, and this is where she graduated law school from. So the campus is beautiful. Please enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.